welcome back to Washington Commanders Insider. Today, we're talking about key additions for the Washington Commanders that are going to be an impact next season. Next, we're going to be doing some updates as we got some exciting news about the 2027 NFL Draft. And also, we got some exciting information around player numbers. And so we're going to be looking at the jersey numbers that players are going to be wearing next season. And so before we jump into it, I first want to remind you to hit that subscribe button, just like Jaden Daniels is going to be hitting Terry McLaurin and Deebo Samuel for lots of touchdowns this upcoming season. And so in exchange for hitting that subscribe button, I'm going to give you nothing but daily content around the Washington Commanders. So make sure you hit that like, you hit that subscribe, and you join the Washington Commanders Insider family as we talk nothing but Washington Commanders football. And so with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into it. And so we're looking at key additions for the Washington Commanders. And so let's start with offense. And so I think that the first key addition for the Washington Commanders is going to be Deebo Samuel. I think that, look, Deebo Samuel does not have to get back to where he was in 2021 as a receiver, where he had 1,405 yards. But I do think that if Deebo Samuel is able to come in and get back to his 2023 totals, where he was at 892 yards as a receiver, I think that that is going to be a big time bonus for the Washington Commanders. And look, I know that we added Jalen Lane in the draft. I know that we have Ja'Cory Brooks, who's coming in as an undrafted free agent, but I think that Deebo Samuel is going to be critical for the Washington Commanders to take another step, especially at the wide receiver position, because I don't think he's necessarily going to get into the run game as much as he was with the San Francisco 49ers, but we'll see what happens with what Cliff Kingsbury wants to do. But I'm just more intrigued with what type of looks it's going to cause, for Terry McLaurin, because I feel like, that's going to open up so many things for Terry McLaurin. And I just continue to look back at last season, and I'm so impressed with what he was able to do, because defenses knew he was coming. And now you add Deebo Samuel to the mix. I just think that that's going to open it up for him. And I think it's going to be awfully hard to stop the Washington Commanders on offense, especially with what they've added, over the offseason and everything else. But I just think that he is probably key addition number one for me, just because of how dynamic he is going to make the offense next season. Next, look, I think another guy that is just a huge addition for the Washington Commanders, and staying on the offensive side of the ball here, it's going to be Laremy Tunsil. I think that Laremy Tunsil and what he's going to do for the Washington Commanders and really helping Jaden Daniels be more comfortable in the pocket and just kind of going through his progressions and things like that. Like, he is going to be huge for us. I mean, he literally is going to be an anchor up front. And there's not anything that he cannot do, because he's terrific at the pass protection. We know he's strong in run blocking. The physicality is going to be there. And he is consistent. And that's exactly what Adam Peters has been looking for with this team as he continues to build, is consistency. And I think that you are seeing that with the veteran players that he's brought over. And so when you talk about consistency, I mean, 5 Pro Bowl selections, 2019, 2020, 22, 23, 24. Maybe he gets there this year, which I hope he does. But look, Laremy Tunsil is going to be huge for the Washington Commanders again, and just making Jaden Daniels feel comfortable. We know what he can do if you give him some time. And I just think that, look, you give him added time and to go along with the addition of Deebo Samuel, like, I just feel like that this offense really takes off to another level. And so those are 2 key additions that I'm looking forward to seeing next season. And next, look, this guy is a guy that I think we just really haven't talked about enough, because we've been really focused on, other aspects of the defense. But I think that Javon Kinlaw, to me, he's the player that I think he could be a surprise breakout player for the Washington Commanders, because we've been hearing a lot about, the Commanders had to get an edge rusher in the draft. It didn't happen. Then we were hearing, okay, well, now, they can still go trade for a guy like Trey Hendrickson. And we just talked about that. But I did want to talk about, the fact that we do have a lot in the building. And this kind of goes into what Charles Mann was talking about in that tweet, that I think a lot of people are sleeping on what the Washington Commanders have in the building, and that really if Adam Peters doesn't make another move in this offseason, so he doesn't go out, he doesn't pick up another veteran, he doesn't get anybody else, off a practice squad or anything like that, I think Javon Kinlaw, to me, with what he can do with his versatility, it could really open things up on the defensive side of the ball for the Washington Commanders. And I think that his versatility kind of opens it up for what the Commanders want to do, not only pass rushing, but also too as a run defense as well. And so, look, Javon Kinlaw with his physicality, his athleticism, his hand usage, like I think that it does take off with the Commanders this season. I think that the real key for him is just going to be consistency. I think that if he can get to that consistency and really get to more of his ceiling, I think the Washington Commanders might have something special. And so to me, Javon Kinlaw is a player that, like I said, he's the one that I think a lot of people maybe have overlooked with the addition, but I think that you have to look back at what he did with the Jets. And I think a lot of people were saying, okay, they're not pleased with the production, but 4.5 sacks. Look, I know that, our sack leader is no longer with us at 10.5 sacks, but 4.5 sacks, I'll take that, plus the 2 forced fumbles. And I love the fact that he had 1 fumble recovery. And so that's everything that Joe Witt Jr. would want, is he would want, more turnovers and things like that. So I think that if he can do that, and I'm banking on the fact that he's going to get some more sacks for the Washington Commanders this season, I think that that is going to take us to the next level. And so with that being said, look, we've gone over the key additions, and I wanted to go ahead and jump into some updates. And so let's start with the first update that we're hearing around the 2027 NFL draft. And so if you have not heard, the Washington, D.C. area here is going to get the NFL draft. And so this was on the official Twitter of the Washington team there. As you can see, the Washington, D.C. will have the 2027 NFL draft. And I think that this is huge, for Washington, because this kind of goes into just the type of juice, man, that's around the franchise right now. So we know that there's going to be a stadium that is set to open up in 2030. So hopefully there's no setbacks there. And look, man, I think that, the team is heading in the right direction. And then, that once the stadium opens up, hopefully the Super Bowl comes at one point, and hopefully the Washington Commanders are in that Super Bowl whenever it does come to Washington. But look, I think that this is some huge news to know that the NFL draft is going to be here in Washington, D.C. So that's great to see. Next, I wanted to go ahead and jump into another update, and that is around the jerseys that the players are going to be wearing. And so you get a chance to see these are what some of the jersey numbers are for the vets. And then also, too, we'll bring this up. This is on commanders.com if you want to take a look at just all the numbers. But you get a chance to see the free agents. Michael Gallup going to be wearing 12. Josh Johnson coming back to the team, 14. He used to have 8. Javon Kinlaw, 52. Then you got Trey Amos going to be wearing 23. You got Kane Madrano, 56, and Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt going to be wearing 32. Might be a jersey I'm going to get. But anyhow, just want to let you guys know this is the update around the players as far as some of the jerseys that they're going to be wearing. And so let me know in the comments what you guys are thinking about these jerseys. Are you going to go out there and get one of these? And then also, too, what are you guys thinking about the NFL draft coming to Washington, D.C. in 2027? And then let me know what you guys are thinking about these key additions, because like I said, I feel like on offense, the 2 main key additions is going to be Deebo Samuel and then also, too, Laremy Tunsil. And again, these are the veteran players that Adam Peters has brought in. And I think that just really a player that, I think that he's poised to have a season, not a whole bunch of talk around him, but that is Javon Kinlaw. So you guys let me know in the comments what you guys are thinking. And as we always say, go Commanders. And I will see you guys on the next one. All right. Peace.